Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cyber Queens podcast. Thank you so much for bearing with our slightly late start today. We love and appreciate you. As with all things, we're fully transparent. So bus schedules and road trips and rainstorms, all those things happen to us on a daily basis in cyber. We pivot and we make it work. We are, of course, your hosts, Meryl, Erica, and Amber. Amber can't be with us today. She's prepping for a big customer meeting. The job always comes first. So we will see Amber back next week. Erica, as you can see, is on a road trip. But Erica, do you still want to introduce yourself? Erica. Okay. So Erica is our definitely technically inclined salesperson extraordinaire, recovering sales executive turned cyber executive herself. She's going to be starting a startup pretty soon. We're very excited for her. So super, super cool. And we are joined by a very cool guest today, a guest who kind of, grew into what she grew into, saw a need and decided she was going to fill that cross need. She was going to be her own solution and start providing that to other people who she was sure had the same problems and experience as her. So we are joined by Shannon McPhearson, the Sacred CISO. Shannon, welcome to the Cyber Queens. We're so excited to have you. Please tell the audience about yourself.
Woo! Thank you, everyone. Honored to be here, speaking to everyone and with the Queens. Thanks for this opportunity to continue to uplift and to speak the good word to the people. So yes, my name is Shannon McPhearson. I'm the Sacred CISO. And what that means is really, it's a dual meaning. So I serve as a CISO myself. I have gone up through the ranks. I've been in this cyber career for over 10 years now, held various positions, believe it or not. And this is a perfect testament to what we're trying to talk about today is I majored in Spanish and musical theater in college.
Woo! So love the non-technical degree.
Liberal arts does do things, people. It does things for you, okay?
Yes, it does. I was a Russian and Soviet studies major. So I majored in Russian language and like Soviet literature and history, which is like a history degree. So it's a Bachelor of Arts. So it completely relates to cyber. Not at all.
Yeah. Natural trajectory. It's fine.
Cool. It's fine.
It's fine. But anyway, so I mean, I had an intention, as we all do growing up, so to speak, of what path we'd like to choose. And I'll be honest, that path was based on being super hard on myself, being a perfectionist, needing to prove something. And I tried my best at law school, and that didn't work out for me. And I felt quite lost after that and needed to really start over. And I shamed myself. I judged myself. I had a lot of guilt around that failure, right? Or what I saw as a failure, as many of us do. Mm-hmm. And so then I decided, well, I need a job and the tech industry looks cool. So I got into tech sales, but then it transitioned into something a lot bigger for me. And that meant that I was exposed to these wireless mobile threats. And I thought that was really cool. But again, this was like 13 years ago. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, let's give this a shot. This looks really cool and up and coming and matters. And so I actually went back and got my master's in cybersecurity. And I've been in the industry ever since. So I've worked in government, private, and most recently nonprofit. And I have started a new business. And believe it or not, for full transparency, today is my last day in corporate life.
Whoa! Congratulations!
I am. I'm pursuing my entrepreneurial pursuits through the company that I recently founded called Authenticated Alchemy. And that kind of brings into where your question about the why. So I think it's really important for all of us to reflect on our why. No matter who you are, I don't care what you do for a living. Why are you doing it?
Yes.
What is your core value that is igniting that fire behind your why? And again, many of us kind of have this autopilot phase right now that we're in, and that's okay. That's okay. But I encourage people to look inward, and that is part of the journey. That is part of talking about what works and what doesn't, because we are in this society which I know we're talking about burnout and I know we're talking about hustle culture. We're in this society that really preaches needing to have your life together immediately, needing to know all the knowledge, needing to know the solution right away, needing to have all the skills to, encompass that solution right away.
Mm-hmm.
And this instant gratification, the ability to not fail is really failing humanity right now.
Right. We need to normalize failure completely. That's why I'm so transparent about the fact that, I didn't pass Sec Plus the first time. I failed it. I didn't pass CEH the first or second times. I failed them twice before I got them. It's like you only see the small tip of the iceberg up here as to like all the return on investment and stuff that I've gotten after, but you didn't see all the failure and all the toiling down here. There was a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people in our industry posting about this, about like hustle culture and saying work harder and work twice as hard as everybody else. And, it's not the answer anymore. Like, I think the answer is to hustle smarter, but not necessarily hustle harder. Like we're working ourselves into the ground. And frankly, that's why professionals are showing up to industries like tech and cyber already burned out. And then they get to the actual workload and they're like, oh man, it doesn't stop. It just gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to kind of bounce off something you just said, working smarter, not harder. But what does that mean? Because we throw that around all the time and it looks fantastic on memes and people are like, yeah, let's do it. What does that mean though? What's the actual step? Like, what's the actual step behind working smarter? Believe it or not, it requires looking inward.
Yes.
What is your truth? What is true for you? And how do we find out what's true for us?
I agree.
What are your core values? We have to determine. Again, this is an unpopular opinion because some of it is painful. Some of it is, reflection is not convenient ever.
It's not
ever.
Not convenient.
Growth is not convenient. Growth it's painful, but you know what? It puts you in a place of increased sovereignty.
It does.
Of knowing your truth, what is true for you, what is your definition of success, and not being threatened by other people's definition of success. It's kind of one of those things where we throw around acceptance. What is it? Agreement, right? Doesn't equal acceptance. Acceptance doesn't equal agreement. The other analogy I'll make, because I'm a cyber person, is compliance doesn't equal security.
No, it doesn't. I gave a whole keynote on that. Like, compliance is phenomenal and we need compliance. Obviously, that's why we have it. But it just because you're checking all the boxes literally does not mean the security is necessarily working as intended.
Right on.
Yeah, you're saying things that we say all the time, things that we purport all the time. I love something that you mentioned, which was that we as women especially, we tend to see an opportunity like crossing over into cyber or starting a technical career. And Shannon and I can kind of speak to this because, you got a dual degree in Spanish and musical arts, you said, musical theater. Love that. I'm a former theater kid myself. There's Shakespeare on me somewhere.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah. And then, I went into medical device sales, which was, slightly technical, definitely specialized, but definitely not like a technical thing. You went into sales, mobile device sales, you said, correct? Yeah. And then we both ended up like seeing from a peripheral, like, hey, there's a lot to be done over there. There's a lot to learn. And we just got in there. We decided just to get in there and look around and figure it out and figure out where we could help and where we could apply our skills and where we could learn more and then where we could innovate. But so many women won't do that. So many women, especially because of our psychology, will say, I have to show up being that perfect candidate. Like if they want 5 years of experience, then 5 years and 1 day, I qualify to apply for that job. I qualify to go for that opportunity. And it's just not true. Like I'm telling everybody, please just try, just get in there. Just see where you can start adding value, see where you can take stuff off other people's plate. You'll learn, you'll grow in your role. But so many people have that perfectionist mindset, and I'm a perfectionist in recovery. So I can definitely say that the type of imposter syndrome that I have is hardcore perfectionism and like natural genius. I think if I pick it up and don't get it immediately, I've already failed. So, you know, I resonate with that so much because I had to have someone convince me to go for my first pen testing job. You know, look at where I am today. If I hadn't done that, because I thought I had to be that perfect pen tester already, and it would have taken me years to get there, then I never would have started. So I really loved what you said about that.
Yeah, I'm going to bounce on that too, because these feelings of, you know, perfectionism and pressure in the industry.
Yeah.
The pressure. Let's moment of silence for the pressure cooker that we are in right now.
We're in our own silo of our own making.
So moment of silence. No, I think we need to bring more awareness. And again, this is what I'm seeking in my new endeavor, is to bring more visibility and normalcy to bringing up our acknowledgement of feelings of unworthiness. Ooh,
absolutely.
And I'm feeling that's hitting.
That's a heavy one. That one landed.
I'm feeling that's hitting the people. Yeah, we have these deep-seated feelings of unworthiness. And, you know, they come from various things. They come from life experiences. They come from our childhood. They come from a plethora of other things that we've gone through. And no one can tell you your individual life experience. So what has happened in industry is, and this is, in my opinion, one of the largest issues with the hustle culture anywhere. We have other people who are not living our human experience in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual experiences telling us what to do, how to live, how to feel, how to move. And that is not sacred at all. We are losing the human in humanity when we are doing that. We might as well be a robot.
Yeah. I think I see this a lot with my children. So my children, you know, are obviously young. I have a kindergartner and a second grader. And at the end of the day, when they're acting out and getting frustrated and giving like extra sass, I'm like, okay, I know where this is coming from. Like it usually comes from like the love bucket, what we call, or the power bucket. And I'm like, the power bucket is where they're told literally from the moment they wake up what to wear, when to get dressed, when to eat breakfast, what they're going to eat, how to get homework done, etc., to sit down and be quiet. Like all day, they're just told what to do and they're marched along and they follow along. But like, they're frustrated. They want agency. They want to make their own choices. And I see that. And I'm like, she hasn't gotten to make enough of her own choices today. She hasn't gotten to call enough of her own shots. And that's why she's frustrated. And we carry that with us. And it manifests in like, oh, I think I'm going to try being a mechanical engineer. Oh, are you sure? Are you sure? That's a really hard career field. It takes a lot of math. Are you sure? Are you good at math? I don't know. But I think if I spent all my time and energy on it, I could get really good at math and mechanical engineering, right? So, you know, and that's the kind of thing that will manifest not only in our job worthiness, right? I don't think I qualify. Like women will go down the list. Yes. Oh, no, I don't qualify for that job because of that one. No. And we'll carry that into our personal relationships too. Like, oh, like my friends don't really want to see me. They just take pity on me and invite me to things. And like, you will carry so much of that out of the professional realm and into the personal realm if you let it take enough root in your brain.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about mindset. It's really about mindset. But in order to shift that narrative, and it's one of, and I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it. It's a victim consciousness narrative. And in order to shift that, we really have to look inside ourselves. And this is where my phrase authenticate from within occurs, because we're looking at all of these external factors, but we really need to be looking internally to understand why we are the way that we are.
Erica says it's because
Go ahead.
We're programmed that way. Erica says it's because we're programmed that way, unfortunately.
Yes. So think of it that way. Programs, another word for programs, are the experiences that develop our thought patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just laying that out for easier definition. Because I know Erica is doing a bunch of inner work, and I'm so here for it, Erica. And so with these programs, they're also called systems. It's a belief pattern. And again, all of these things from our past have developed the belief system that we have.
Yes. Like it's cliche, but like your thoughts become your actions become your beliefs, etc.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that whole quote. Someone find that whole quote and I'll put it up on the comments. That'd be great. Thank you.
Another way to say it is where the mind goes, energy follows. So
I love that.
Yeah. You know, I'm into energy. I'm a big energy person. So where the mind goes, energy follows. You're going to hold that vibration, but you have the power to look inside and change that vibration, change that narrative, change your story. And that's part of the work that I'm doing.
You know, I'm not a very existential person. I will say I'm not very, you know, there are certain limits I have to empirical belief. I'm an analyst, right, at the core end of my day. But as an analyst and a scientist who studied physics, because that was one of my fun passion projects in college, was just to take physics for fun, is that energy, you know, the properties of energy can't be created or destroyed, can only be transferred, you know, how we calculate and measure and weigh energy. And I'm like, energy is a real thing. Energy has real pull, right? When the moon is too close to us, the gravitational pull, it affects literal tidal waves, things like that. So I do believe in the empirical effects of energy. And I have been saying since I entered cyber, don't manage your time, manage your energy.
Ooh, yes.
Like people are like, oh my God, did you see this? Doesn't that bother you? I'm like, nope, I don't have budget in my energy budget for that today. So I'm unbothered by that. And I'm focusing my energy on these things.
I love that. I literally have in my outline to talk about time management. Like time management is out. It's out.
It's dead.
I hate our cancel culture, but like get it out of your mind. It's not time management. It's energetic hygiene.
It is.
It's energetic management. And I challenge everyone. We have to be honest with ourselves about the status of our own energy. How are we feeling today? What is draining you in your life? It takes being accountable and owning that energy, your energy. Because what ends up happening, especially as empaths, and we can't ignore that so many of us are empaths in this industry. We care. We feel things. We are not robots.
It is such a misnomer that people are not feeling beings and like push down those emotions and don't feel those things and you know, suck it up. And I'm like, we are not thinking beings that feel. Human beings at first were feeling beings that think. In fact, before we had formalized systems of communication and we could make words at each other, we did everything purely on instinct and feeling and energy we felt from someone else. Yeah. Do I approach that thing? Will it eat me? I'm getting gonna eat me energy. Yeah. I'm just gonna let that lie. You know,
the intuition was real. It was real for a time. We're trying to bring it back. But I mean, that's part of going inward, right? That's part of going inward and being real with your feelings without the key to this, though, is approaching it from a place of curious observation. Yeah. Because so many of us, especially women with the, you know, fear of unworthiness, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. Men, you're here too. Like, we're all here. I can't even say it's just women. Okay. I can speak from my own experience, but men get this too.
What sucks for the poor men is that they have to feel those things and act like they don't 1,000% of the time. Like, you know, women may let it out and we might be the emotional woman, but Jesus, at least we can feel our feelings. You guys have to pretend you don't have any feelings. And that must be horrible for you. Yeah,
and that's the system. Like, that is such a huge contribution that is poisonous throughout the hustle culture. It is another huge component. You can't let anyone see you sweat.
Yeah.
That's crap. It is absolutely not real life. That is placing, especially for the generations, for posterity, who are trying to, you know, we have phenomenal people in our industry that have sowed so many seeds of resilience and laid this gorgeous foundation for us. Mm-hmm. And we are here now. And it is our job to be of service for the next generation, to have them open even more doors. But what we're actually doing in perpetuating this hustle culture is setting them up for failure, because it's not real life.
And if I'm not willing to hustle as hard as them, Yeah. If you're a single parent and you're over here and you can't hustle as hard as a mid 20 something with no kids and no family life, like, then you're like, God, I've already failed because he's hustling twice as hard as me and I'm not going to make it as far as fast. And, you know,
I mean, comparison again is the thief of joy.
It is. It is.
Always the
It
thief
is.
of joy.
It
But I
super
mean,
is.
we need to really approach our feelings against this matrix, because that's what the hustle culture is. It's part of the matrix.
Yeah.
And we have
and what they're basically trying to do is make you accept responsibility for hustling harder for them onto yourself without actually like they're asking you to do double work without like gratifying you for it, basically.
Yeah, and at what cost? Your physical health, your mental health, your emotional stability, your ability to feel safety. And that is what I am huge on, feeling safety wherever you are, in your personal life, in your relationships, in your career. We are our best SaaS solution: safety, authenticity, and sovereignty.
Oh, I love that. That's great. I'm going to use that from now on. Like, we all need to be a little bit more sassy.
These are some of the things that I'm teaching and preaching and creating. I have a lot of offerings that I'm going to be creating, and I'm doing one-on-one coaching and clients, and also healing sessions, because again, you know, I'm very much in the space of being a healer and whatever that means, and inviting people in our industry to explore. Because let's be honest, people that, you know, I am a huge proponent of getting the help that is right for you, whatever that means. So if that's going to therapy, if that's seeing someone, if that's talking to someone else, if that's hiring a coach, again, it's this journey of trial and error. Life is a fluid experiment. We cannot expect that we are going to be 100% right all the time. There's a shift that needs to happen in our society, that is within our personal control too. It starts with us, about finding your truth. And that goes back to finding your core values. What matters in life to you? And you build from that.
And I think so many people in our industry do need that kind of healing, because like, you know, you see the memes like, you know, work bestie, like when you can't get through the day without work bestie, I'm like, that's called trauma bonding. You're bonding over the trauma. And now that's your battle buddy, and you can't go into that battlefield without your buddy. But, you know, we always say recovering perfectionist, recovering salesperson, recovering SOC analyst, recovering detection engineer. Like, so many people in our industry are recovering from the trauma that work, not even our work environment, just our actual work has given us. And then if the work environment is bad on top of that, it just compounds, it just compiles on top of itself.
Yeah, I can share some insight there too. When we're kind of walking this earth on a more autopilot mentality, and we're just accepting of things around us and not questioning our truth, we don't have this clear state of mind that will yield aligned decision making, because alignment must be present in everything. You can have strategy, but it doesn't mean anything without alignment. If you're not aligned, you're going to have another lesson that's going to hit you in a minute. And your job in life is to really, you know, have these experiences and go through these lessons to learn until you actually learn the lesson. The universe, we have so many people that are like, oh, universe, show me the aligned path. Show me a message. And then we have something, they're like, nah, give me something else.
No, that wasn't the lesson I was looking for.
Like, no, I didn't like that one. I don't appreciate that. Like, that's not how it works.
Go again till I get the answer I want.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't a vending machine. Like, you need to hold yourself accountable for growing in the uncomfortability and expansion. And so many of us we feel that fear, and it's an immediate paralysis. So what you were talking about, people trying to get into the industry, trying to, you know, apply for that job where they may only see these, you know, 8 million qualifications, which are just ridiculous in the first place. And don't get me started on that. And then they might qualify in their heads for 3 of them, and then they just don't apply.
Yeah. I love that you got into the fear, because I want to get into the fear next, and how that fear kind of how it can take root in one place, but like spread out to other places. You know, I think we all do we hold our own selves back. It's true. I had to do many weeks of NLP therapy. So my journey, you know, we've all seen that TikTok where it's like, you know, the overachieving, like highly like put on a pedestal, whatever kid grows up to be the burned out, overworked, overhustled, like perfectionist. I'm like, that's me. Like, I was conditioned when I was little to believe that, like, gosh, you're so much, like, you're so smart and you're so capable and you better be doing all these great things. We all expect such great things from you. And I'm sure that came from a good place of like, we want to build you up to believe you can do anything. But rather than doing that, it put pressure on me, right? That pressure cooker of, God, you better do something great. You better not fail at making us all really proud of you. And so I had that fear. Like, if you used to ask me what made me operate, I would say fear of failure. I cannot fail. I cannot be mediocre. I cannot like disappoint everybody. And now, now that I have more clarity on like what I am good at, and I do trust myself. I trust myself to make good choices. I trust myself to make calculated professional and personal risks. I trust myself to go after certain things. And even if it doesn't pan out, I know that my skills are evergreen and I'll just pivot to something else. That's okay. It's okay to try and fail because I believe in myself enough to recover after. But I've met so many people who are like, I'll never do that again. I'll never try that again. Like, I'm never, you know, spending this much money on a woman ever again. And I'm like, oh, that just tells me that you're so afraid that the money will disappear and you'll never be able to get it back, that you hold on to it super tight. Like, I'm like, if I lost everything tomorrow, I would start again and I would build it back up just as I did. And it would take me some time, but I would get here. Like, I believe in myself. I had to remove that fear of failure from myself. And and I did that very early in my cyber career. I was hired in cyber in April of 2019. And in October of 2019, I started that therapy. And it's what really helped me drive my own success, right? Because we all know I have a weird story where like I made all this progress really quickly. That's one of the reasons why. Removing that fear and embracing it. I was like, I might fail at this. I'm like, go forth and fail, right? Write the worst thing you can write. Do the worst job you can do. And then just improve upon that. Like, but get it out of the way. Confront the unknown. Is that what you?
Woo! Yeah, so many things there.
So many.
Just I love talking about fear, because I'll tell you, as a brand new entrepreneur, I'm feeling all the things. And you feel things that you thought you'd never have to feel.
I know we have a few business owners and entrepreneurs on the line who identify with that.
Yeah, I'm building this I'm birthing this baby, right? So excuse me, I'm feeling all of these birth pains that are going along with that. And I'm not yet a mother. So, you know, I'm using this metaphor very, very loosely to my personal experience. But I will say, being a new entrepreneur, and I'll also relate it to seizing your journey, because it's not just about excuse me, that matcha latte is hitting differently this morning. I'll relate it to seizing consciousness, your journey towards heightened consciousness. It is making you unearth new things in waves, because this journey is not linear. It's an ebb and flow environment. Yeah, all over the place. Ball of yarn that's like you can't even
hear, but with yarn up in the air. It was like, have fun with that.
Excuse me. So, I mean, we're talking here about all of this fear and what it means for you. And at the end of the day, what is the worst that can happen? I'll tell you the worst that our mind thinks it can happen. We have fear because our synapses, our neurons, our neurological setup is protecting us, because we literally think this is something, whatever that thing is, we literally think that could kill us. Not playing with you. That is how the brain works. We think we are not safe, but we have the ability to retrain our brain, to reprogram the brain, to establish inner safety. And without that safety, we're not going to have a regulated nervous system. We're not going to have inner balance. We're not going to be able to seize the true potential for our confidence levels, there's a lot of effects that we experience without this concept of safety as the foundation.
Yeah, I agree. Even in a marketing capacity, we address something called the conscious brain and the primal brain. Like the primal brain is that thing that you don't need to tell your brain, I need to inhale and exhale, right? Your primal brain does that for you as an automated function because it knows that it needs that to survive. When we market, we're applying to certain things that the primal brain can pick up, things like contrast. That's why you see people use polarizing colors in marketing campaigns, things like tangibility. That's why you see people give out swag and stuff like that. But the primal brain also, the only reason those things trigger the primal brain is because its job is to protect you. It's like if you see movement, right, that's contrast, your primal brain is like, snake, my life is at risk, right? From like our anthropological evolution days, so your brain is constantly trying to alert you to things because it thinks everything wants to kill you. And that's true. And the fear does paralyze us because our brains go, oh, that's bad for you. Don't go over there. Avoid that at all costs. But even in personal training, Erica can attest this. I can attest this as a bodybuilder. In personal training and personal growth, in professional progress, like a certain amount of healthy stress is good. Healthy stress, progressively stressing yourself to learn how much you can take and increase your fault tolerance, but not over stressing yourself to that unhealthy point, right?
Yes. This is amazing discussion. I'm having such a good time about this. This is like my jam. So much passion here. And so many people kind of try to wrap their logical brain around what fear means for them. And they're like, well, I can't be fearful of getting on a podcast. No, it's not the podcast that you have a problem with. It's the fact that being seen by eyes can possibly kill you.
Ooh.
That's the depth that we're talking about in these examples. It's not just a surface level, oh, there's someone, Michael Myers over there. It's like, fear, I have to fear for my life. That's like a very real.
That was a very basic analogy that I made. Okay, you guys, I am that logical figure that she's talking about. I have to give myself an anchor.
Yeah, but it's this depth of understanding. Oh, wow, it's literally the eyes that could kill me with their judgment. There's this depth of understanding of fear that 99.9% of our population walk around doesn't have.
Yeah, and some people fear success. Like you meet those people that you're like, God, you could do this. Like you could do this. Why won't you just? No, I can't do that. You're like, but you could. And if you just try, you would see it. You're like, those are the people you say they just won't let themselves be happy. Like they just love the misery. And it's like, it's not that, but it's that stress and that fear is comforting to them. They know it well. It's the devil they know. And they're like, I'm okay over here in my sad cocoon. They're afraid of the success. They're like, if I become successful, if I give myself all the things that I want, then I could lose those things and end up back here. And I don't know if I pull myself out of here, if I can return here one day. Again, they don't believe in themselves enough.
Yes.
It's hard to see. I'm curious though. So I want to get through 2 segments before we wrap the show up because I love this episode. We're probably gonna have to have you back for like part 5, 6, and 7,000. But before we end this one, I want to ask you how, first of all, in your CISO function, because you were functioning as a CISO before you kind of got into all this conscious growth stuff, where or when in the industry or where in your journey did you see the need to just stop being a strictly like technical person and adhering to all these like systemic institutions and start growing into more consciousness and more human-based factors and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I am 36 years old. I started what I call my healing journey when I was 29. And that was kind of an awakening point for me to be able to bring into consciousness how my past has affected me and what that means for my life going forward. Trying to purposely and intentionally redesigning the life that I want to live and not feeling held back or constricted by, these shackles, so to speak, that were really, really not only draining me, but I didn't even know existed before I started getting into, this kind of thing. And so what drew me to the core of this work is being able to relate to the population that struggles with boundaries.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't struggle with any boundaries. I have all the boundaries.
That's a big one, right? Like, and it's for anyone. Again, men, women, gender fluid. I don't care who you are. This is humanity, but boundaries, because it's about what you believe. And so many people in the tech, STEM, cyber world we're trying to, it's like we're building the ship, but then we have these people that are trying to deconstruct our ship. Okay.
Yeah. Like, we're not just building it while we're driving it. We're building it while we're driving it, and they're trying to blow it up, and it's on fire.
And they're trying to just take the pieces away from us, you know? And that's what I'm talking about with boundaries. These systems, you know, and it's important to note that I am not shaming, judging, or guilting anyone for their behavior. Never. We're not doing that. We get enough of that, and it stops with you. Okay, it stops here. But acknowledge that in your past you've had a certain level of consciousness, a certain level of self-awareness, and right now you have a different level of self-awareness, and the goal is to increase that and release the old version of that with love for yourself.
Yes. It's not about guilting yourself. It's not about thinking about all the things that you've lost or how long that you've been here. What it's thinking about is, what could you possibly seize in the future?
Yeah. And everything is a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned on this path.
Yeah. Yeah. So make sure at the end of the day, above all else, you're being kind to yourself. You know, if you are at a place where you're just not able to do that reflection, not able to do that work yet, that's okay. That's your journey. Like, don't compare your journey to someone else. Like we said in the beginning, don't compare. That's the thief of joy.
The other thing, Meryl, I'll say is really, you know, in reference to the hustle culture and the burnout that is so prevalent, the real flex these days is a regulated nervous system.
Yes.
Reaching a state of this inner balance while we're all on this quest of going back to boundaries, right? We're all on this quest of figuring out how the heck to secure the inner perimeter, which means like developing your own inner risk tolerance posture, right?
Really, it really does. Yes.
We're talking to the people right now. Establish your own inner risk tolerance policy and actively enforce those boundaries from a place of sovereignty versus a place of chaos, pressure, survival, and scarcity and fear.
Yeah. I had to tell someone I was with in a previous relationship, I can't be in this relationship because we are like crazy in love, right? Like that Beyonce song. I'm like, I don't want to be crazy and chaotic in love. I want to be stable. I want to be calm in love. I don't want to wonder what box of chocolates I'm walking into today. You know, and the real flex for me is that, like, pre-NLP therapy, I would be up until 3 a.m, like turning over things in my brain. And I have a really, really good memory. Like I have memories all the way back to when I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. Like I can recall a lot of instances and experiences from my life. People are like, wow, it must be so fun to have a brain like that. I'm like, sure. Until your brain's like, want to think about that time in the 3rd grade when you didn't turn your homework in on time? Like, let's talk about that. So for me, I used to be up torturing myself and telling myself how, God, you're so capable, but you're not good enough. You're not doing good enough. Like you failed in all these ways. You're a 30-year-old single mom with 2 children living with your parents. Like, these are the ways in which you failed. And now I can go to bed and sleep like a baby at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night. Like I wake up and I'm not like, oh, check my phone. I'm like, get the kids ready. This is fine. Like, you know, you're right. That is a really big flex, especially for establishing those boundaries in our industry.
Yeah. And 2, I mean, the people that, you know, unconsciously, unknowingly are following and subscribing to the hustle culture, because a lot of these people don't even understand that it's a choice. It's an individual choice.
And if your employers are making those demands of you to make you feel like that hustle is the minimum commitment you need to be making, then that's a toxic organ. You got to go.
No, that's not in alignment with your your purpose, with your core values. It's time to again, get some confidence. And this is stuff that I work with people about, the level of confidence, growing in sovereignty and confidence, but also with your authentic purpose in life, finding that. And, you know, it takes people all of these trials to find out what's not for them. So it's not even this, oh, I failed again. It's this, I'm learning what is not my direction.
Like Edison said, I didn't, you know, fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 ways not to accomplish the thing I was trying to accomplish.
Right.
You know,
It's all
like,
the mindset,
trying to make
narrative shift. Yeah.
I always like to think of that picture of the kids on the first, second, and third place, and like first and second place are like, man, I could have done better. And third place is like, third place. Like, it's all about mindset. He's like, I'm just happy to be up here, man. Like, I just came out and tried today, you know, and like, it's so hard for us not to take personal responsibility. Like, so much, I tie my own personal like sense of worth and fulfillment, like professionally, to my work performance. I want people to see my work performance and know that I'm solid because of what they see. It's hard for us to displace ourselves from that. But I do embrace failure. I'm like, I might epically suck at this, but I'm only going to suck at it a few times, and hopefully I get really good at it. So I'm willing to like put myself in the suck. I think I said this in one of my first Meryl minutes. If something scares you, or if you're bad at something, or if it scares you, that fear, make it your best friend until you make it your biatch. Like, learn it forwards, backwards, upside down until it doesn't intimidate you anymore. Yeah. We are sadly moving into the end of our episode. It's been 40 minutes already, which is crazy. We're having so much fun. But as we move into final takeaways, I just want to ask you anything you want to impart the audience with. And also, how can people in our industry, in these technical STEM and cyber industries, how can they embrace fear in a healthy way as they go about their professional lives from here on out?
Yeah. So I'll start with that last question. Fear is scary. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not a paralyzing emotion. And we literally fear fear. We fear being put in a situation where we are fearful.
But the greatest thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Yeah. So the key here is to try to conquer that fear by establishing safety. And again, this is a tremendous oversimplification. I want to reiterate, this takes time. This is a journey. This takes effort. You will think you're doing great over here, and then you're going to be like, what the heck just happened over here?
Slide backwards. Yeah.
Being able to, start with identifying your emotions, because there is no shame. There is no guilt. We have created and accepted that program within ourselves and have told ourselves that narrative on a feedback loop for however old you are. It does not have to exist in our brain.
It doesn't.
It can be eradicated. It can be relinquished. Not completely, because again, the universe will test you and be like, oh, there's a new test over here. And you're like, ooh, I have more work to do over there. Right? But identifying your emotions, and it's not just fear, identifying what you're feeling, taking control and ownership is number one. Accountability for your own emotions. Again, because as empaths in this industry, we all too frequently feel other people's emotions and take them as our own. And that is not how to live a sovereign life. That is not a conscious way of living. We are living vicariously through someone else's experience. And you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that, because you're taking on their energy. That it's like a dump, right? You're just dumping. Yeah. They're dumping into you and you're not even aware of it. And you're like, I feel this way. I don't even know why I feel this way. Let's work through that. Let's figure that out. Identify and separate your emotions and start there. Fear is going to be one of those emotions because it's a fundamental emotion. Fear, grief, joy. You know, those are just 3 of them. There's more, obviously, but
a lot more.
Start with, well, believe it or not, a lot of these emotions that we think are separate the root of them is fear.
Yeah. Like anger becomes a secondary emotion because you first felt something else. You felt shock, you felt betrayal, you felt fear, and then you become angry or sad about it. Like but those are secondary and tertiary emotions that come from like only a small group of core fundamental emotions. It's true.
Yeah. So being able to identify your emotions and holding yourself accountable in a way that is practicing non-judgment.
Yes. And on yourself too.
Yes. Practicing non-judgment for not having the resources and tools that you had back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're talking about these autopilot loops that were, oh, that's a bad memory, or you might have repressed it. It's that bad, you know, but the memory is still embedded. The sensory experience is still embedded in your brain, which is why triggers pop up.
Yes. And it takes time. It takes consistency. It's, you know, consistency is the goal, not perfection, as with anything.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you'll think you've worked through something and a test will walk by. You're like, oh, there's my bad habit. I can't quit. No. Yes. No. Yes. Like, you know, it happens. So give yourself grace at the end of the day.
Being gentle with yourself is really needed. And also knowing that your commitment to show up for yourself doing this work, and I'm talking about your inner work, not your career, because I care about you as a human, right? Like cyber's great and all, but have you experienced inner peace and balance? Because that's awesome.
That's some good stuff right there.
Yeah.
When they say being high on life,
that's the medicine, right?
I will say when I did all that work, and I did it at the beginning of my cyber career because I didn't want my cyber career to suffer because I was the problem. So I thought on the off chance I'm the rootkit, right? Let's try and solve it. And as I got more mental health and mental clarity, I saw the benefits in my career, like my career progression really benefited. So if you just focus on the root causes, it will trickle down to the other things. You know, physical fitness will get better.
Yes.
Work will get better. Like you'll project more confidence and assuredness in yourself and like all these things. So great message for today. Love that. Loved having you on, Shannon. Thank you so much for coming to give us a little dose of, you know, spirituality and human connection and joy in our day. Erica really wants to talk. She might punch through the screen if I don't let her talk really quick. What's up?
I just want to, because I have to get out of the car, but I don't know why somebody said Erica, no.
Because you dropped off. Back, you dropped off. You can't.
Oh,
she's like, no.
Okay, so I'm at the airport. Thanks for everybody's patience with this. The final takeaways is, you know, somebody said, find your why, and, you know, setting boundaries. And one thing that I'm working on is realizing that I've set boundaries, but I don't continue to keep those boundaries set. So sometimes you have to reflect on where you are, and you think you're doing it a certain way, but then when you really sit down and think about it, or talk to somebody like Shannon and I have been talking, I'm realizing that I'm not I have to reinforce those boundaries and continue to reinforce them, because I've let them kind of go. And I think that everything is okay, but it's not.
Yeah.
So my final takeaway before I drop off is always reevaluate, keep your boundaries set, and keep reiterating those boundaries. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Erica. If you have to drop off, we understand. We love you. Fly safe. Thanks for being with us today. Full transparency again. Erica was in the car. Erica's got to travel. Love you.
Love you guys. See you later.
Bye. My final takeaway is going to be kind of a small snippet from my own journey. So I got to a point in life where, because so much was expected of me, I stopped trusting my own judgment. I couldn't pick someone to date. I couldn't pick my next career move. I couldn't pick a book to read. I didn't trust anything I was doing. And I lost my autonomy. I lost my agency. I lost my own psychological safety that I give myself. So if you set a boundary, honor it. Because if your boundaries ever met with anger, that's where that person's respect for you ends. But also try not to see the world as forcing so much on you that you stop believing in your own ability to drive your story, right? That agency is your ability to drive your story, determine your own rate of success, and ultimately be who and where you want to be in life. So try not to lose that. It's a whirlwind out there. It's easy to lose ourselves. You know, you can always come back to your center. You can always do the inner work and come back and figure out what aligns for you. It will change over time. Just because something aligned before, certain people and practices, they might not align with who you are today. And that's okay. Certain people and experiences and activities serve seasons in our life, and then they fall off. And that's okay. That's fine. Honor them and let them go. So I just want to say, Shannon, thank you so much. Please tell the good people where they can find you and what you've got coming up.
Ooh, okay. So real quick, my one takeaway is if you've identified that you're running out of gas, that you're on autopilot, or you're experiencing burnout, seek to consciously direct your energy back to reclaim this power. What Meryl is saying about your agency. This is the very thing that makes us human. Feeling gratitude, exploring emotional depth, using intuition, authentic connection, and service to others and yourself. There is zero potency, fulfillment, or magic when we remove this human element to humanity. And frankly, it's actually the most terrifying insider threat I can think of, okay?
You are, yes.
Yeah. So that's the final takeaway. But where you can find me, check me out on LinkedIn at Shannon McPhearson, the Sacred CISO. My business is called Authenticated Alchemy. I am coming up with a free offering called Rage Against the Matrix that is going to be held via Zoom, and it's a transformational experience. So look out for that. Marketing. And last but not least, this one's for the ladies. Not sorry, men. We love you, but this one is for the women, okay? It's called Authenticated Within. It is a retreat in the Colorado Springs area. There are overnight packages and local attendee packages, and we are going in to explore lots of these topics and to detox our heart, mind, soul, and body. Because
is there a sound bath? Because I'm in for a good sound bath.
I have that on the list. I didn't want
Yay! I
didn't want to give anything out.
Just one for the queens. One for the people who watch the queens.
Okay.
Anyway, Shannon, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for taking part of your Friday to spend time with us. This was a big hit, so I think maybe all of us in STEM and tech and cyber need a little bit more humanity and emotional connection in our lives. So we'll definitely have to have you back on a semi-regular cadence. Yeah. Thank you for telling us about your offerings. If you're interested in that healing, I'm sure seek Shannon out. She's got some fabulous advice and resources for you. We, the queens, love you. Thank you for spending your Friday with us. If you loved the content, tell me. If you hated it, tell me. Again, I'll take the engagement. Thank you very much. If you liked it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It's the best way you can support us, and it's absolutely free. With that, we love you. We wish you all the light and success. We will see you next week. Bye.